and welcome back to the United Stand and happy Friday morning. It does not feel like a Friday, it feels like a Tuesday or whatever, but on today's show, Victor Osimhen to Manchester United, Marcus Rashford to Napoli as a stunning swap deal is being reported. Now, this isn't the first time that Manchester United have been linked to Victor Osimhen. There's been lots of links to Manchester United going for Victor Osimhen in the January window. Looked like the deal could have been off. It's now looking like it's back on as Antonio Conte apparently would love to see Marcus Rashford at Napoli. And with Marcus Rashford rejecting the Saudi bids and wanting to stay in a top league, could Napoli be a good destination for Marcus Rashford? Scott McTominay's thrived there. Could Marcus Rashford thrive there? Get your votes in the poll. I've already got a poll running in the chat. Would you like to see the swap deal happen? Let me know. And also, Gomes. Manchester United in the summer, free transfer. Manchester United are broke, we have no money, we're going to be looking at cheap deals. Gomes has been linked to Manchester United with it being reported that Ruben Amorim is a fan. Is he a player that you would want to bring in? Apparently, Ruben Amorim at Sporting was looking at Angel Gomes. Would he fit in Manchester United? Would he be the right player to bring into our midfield? Obviously, he was at the club for a number of years. We let him go. A lot of people weren't happy about it. Would you let him go? And a few other things to talk about as well as we get into the later bits of the show. Liverpool, are you worried? Are you excited? Where are you at with that? Ruben Amorim's press conference is this afternoon. We'll see what he has to say. But I was speaking to my friend yesterday, Man United fan, of course, and we were saying we're absolutely dreading it. Absolutely dreading it. To the point where if I didn't have to do the United Stand with you guys, I would probably just switch off the TVs and switch off my phone for the full day because I'm dreading it that much. Can Ruben Amorim pull something out of the bag? He has had some training time with these players. He actually has had some time on the training ground. We've heard him speak before how he hasn't had much time to train and that's affected it. Will the training time help us on Sunday? We need the training time and we need a miracle. Everybody get down and pray because it's not looking good for Anfield on Sunday, but hopefully Ruben Amorim can turn that around. We'll see what he has to say at lunchtime. But let's get into the show. Marcus Rashford and Victor Osimhen, would you want that swap deal to happen? And let me get started by saying 100%, I would absolutely love this swap deal to happen. It just makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense if you wrote it down on paper. Victor Osimhen to Manchester United, Marcus Rashford to Napoli. It makes perfect sense. And here's why it makes perfect sense. Marcus Rashford wants to stay in a top league because he's rejected Saudi offers. That's loud and clear. We had that news come out yesterday. It was briefed to the papers. Marcus Rashford is rejected up to 3 Saudi offers. He doesn't want to go to Saudi. He wants to have a chance at regaining his England spot back for the World Cup. He's 27. I think that's fair enough. I wouldn't want to go to Saudi Arabia at 27. He probably feels like he's still got a lot of football left in him. That's his prerogative, that's his choice. I'm not going to sit here and say, you have to go to Saudi Arabia. He doesn't. I understand why he doesn't want to go to Saudi. He wants to stay in a top league. Napoli, in Serie A. Serie A is a very well-respected league. You can go over there. It's a little bit slower than the Premier League, but Marcus Rashford could have a really good opportunity over there to showcase his abilities, showcase his talent. And look at what Scott McTominay is doing over in Napoli. Scott McTominay at Manchester United, well, he'd walk into our team as of now, but he was always on the edge of the first team. No one ever saw him as like a first team player, as a starter. Right now he would start, but in a fully functioning working Manchester United team, everyone saw him as a squad player. He's gone over to Napoli and he's absolutely smashing it up. He's doing fantastically well. And everybody knows he's doing fantastically well. If Marcus Rashford applied himself, went over to Serie A, went over to Napoli and did well in that league, he would get into the England squad. He would have people's attention. So that ticks that box. And Manchester United, on the other hand, need a striker. We need a striker desperately. Victor Osimhen is out of favour at Napoli. Antonio Conte doesn't want to bring him back. He's at Galatasaray on loan at the moment. That isn't going to be for the foreseeable future. He envisions himself at a top club. Manchester United's still a top club. I mean, at this moment in time in 14th, no, but things can change very quickly in football. relegated next season. No, I'm joking. Things can change very quickly, and if Manchester United sort themselves out, get rid of the deadwood and invest into Ruben Amorim's system and style, we could be, working our way back up quite quickly, hopefully. So Victor Osimhen to Manchester United, we need a striker. I know a lot of people say give Hojlund time, but we need someone to help him out. We need a starter. It just makes sense. Marcus Rashford isn't part of Ruben Amorim's plans. He's not seen a minute of football for the last 5 or 6 games. It makes perfect sense. Obviously, it's a lot more difficult to do it than just say, yes, let's do this swap deal. Let's make it happen. Marcus Rashford goes to Napoli. Victor Osimhen goes to Manchester United. There's finances to sort out. There's wage structures to sort out. Would Victor Osimhen want to come to Manchester United? Does Marcus Rashford want to go to Napoli? But if you look at every area, I think it makes sense and I'd love to see it happen. But get in the comments down below what you think, and would you like to see this happen as well? The only thing where it's a little bit of a red flag in my mind is Antonio Conte notoriously likes hard workers. And, he wants players with a top attitude, top behaviours and winners that work hard. Is Marcus Rashford going to be able to tick them boxes for Antonio Conte in terms of tracking back, working hard, displaying the right behaviours, things that he's obviously had problems with reportedly in the papers at Manchester United? Would he be able to do that? Only time will tell. But according to the papers, Antonio Conte does want Marcus Rashford and he is interested in him as a player and would like to bring him over to Napoli. If he is interested, and if Marcus Rashford does want a new challenge, Napoli seems like a good destination in my opinion. Definitely more realistic than Saudi Arabia. I mean, when I saw the Saudi Arabia reports and the MLS reports yesterday, Jesus, the tree nearly went then. I think it's time for the tree's off camera now because obviously it's January, but I think it nearly just fell over. I think that's a sign that we need to get rid of it. No, it's all good. Greg's asking me if he wants me to go and move it. We'll wait until after the show to get rid of the tree. But back onto track with the Marcus Rashford stuff. When I saw the Saudi Arabia reports, when I saw the MLS reports, I sat there and I just scrolled past. I knew it was absolute rubbish. I don't know why anyone would entertain it. 27, he's not going to go to either of them destinations. Get in the chat your thoughts though. We'll see what you're saying on the poll. We already have some super chats in, so get your comments in if you want your voices heard. Mad Max, member for 2 months, says the only place Rashford is going is to the bank to say is to the bank. Sorry to say. Not much positivity on that Friday morning from you. 7-inch destroyer. Okay. All right, weird name. Swap is never going to happen. Ineos out, Qatar in. James Cave says, morning Beth, would you rather Osimhen or Gyokeres? Both quality, both unproven in the Prem. I worry a bit about Osimhen's wage demands and attitude. Going to get onto Gyokeres in a second because there's news about that as well. Martin Saunders says, looking good this morning Beth. Don't mind a 7-0 loss in Liverpool, and all it does is strengthen Amorim's point that the team are not good enough. Also, Osimhen, yes. Well, I'm never going to say that I'll accept a 7-0 at Liverpool. That would be catastrophic, and I would honestly be so frustrated if that happened. But I do expect us to lose, and if we do lose, you are right, it just shows the board that this team is not good enough and Ruben Amorim does need some investment. And I know people are going to say we've got FFP restraints, but find a way to do it. We're in this mess because of the people that run this football club. It needs to be sorted out. And there is ways to go about it. Selling players gets money in. Selling Rashford would get money in. Would you be open to the Osimhen-Rashford swap deal, though? Or would you hold out for Gyokeres in the summer? Let me know what your thoughts on that, because there's 2 different articles coming in that we want to talk about. So just to update you, by the way, the Rashford stuff has been spoken about on Sky this morning when I was watching Sky, but it was first reported in The Sun, which we know isn't always the most absolutely 100% accurate. And the report was that Marcus Rashford is at the centre of a stunning swap deal involving Victor Osimhen. Antonio Conte's interest in Rashford has opened the door to Manchester United signing Osimhen. What are the results on the poll? If someone can let me know, I'd love to hear what you guys are saying on the poll. Keel says, last time we dreaded Liverpool, we beat them, no fear. Plus Osimhen is the most logical striker above all. Makes his own chances, like I said 6 months ago. Just on that, because a couple of people in the chat are asking what my opinions are, would I take Osimhen? Rashford aside, because I think most people agree it's time for Rashford to move on and Rashford to go. Would I want Osimhen at Manchester United? Yes. You don't have to ask me twice. 92% of you also agree, because 92% of you have said that you would accept this swap deal. I would love to know what percentage of that 92% are saying it because they purely want Rashford to go, because I feel like that'll be a lot of you, because a lot of people want Rashford to leave and a lot of people see this is the time to part ways with Marcus Rashford. But for me, I'm saying yes to this deal, not only because I think it's time to move Rashford on, which I do, and I think Napoli makes sense, but I'm saying yes to it because I think Victor Osimhen is the perfect striker to bring into Manchester United. He has excellent IQ. His intelligence in the box is fantastic. The amount of touches he has in the box per game is fantastic. He makes brilliant runs. He's got fantastic anticipation. He's a poacher. He's a clinical finisher. He's pacey. He has physicality. I mean, for me, that's boxes just tick, 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 and ticked. I think he would suit the Prem like, honestly, I think he would suit the Prem like butter on bread. Genuinely, he would be fantastic in the Premier League, I think. I understand Manchester United is a graveyard shift. We don't create that many chances for the striker, therefore it would be slightly limited at this moment in time. But you're hoping in time Ruben Amorim is going to create a system that does create chances for the striker. As we've seen, Gyokeres at Sporting just absolutely killed it. That system was perfect for Gyokeres and they were just feeding him constantly and he was scoring goals and goals and goals. Manchester United need to work on that, of course they do. But the fact of the matter is, in my opinion, Hojlund isn't yet good enough to start every single game. He doesn't make the right runs all the time and he does need to improve areas of his game. I think you can live in a world where Man United don't create enough for the striker, but also our strikers aren't playing well enough as well and they need to be doing better. And I think that's the world we currently live in. I think Hojlund's got prospects. I think he's got potential. I think his attributes are really exciting. But right now, I don't think he's good enough to be leading the line for Manchester United. I was having this discussion with my brother actually the other day and we were talking and we said, what Premier League teams, and you get involved in the chat as well, what Premier League teams does Rasmus Hojlund start for in the Premier League? And I would say he starts for Southampton. Doesn't start for Ipswich over Delap, I don't think. Probably starts for Leicester. But Jamie Vardy, you know, he's an experienced Premier League pro. Start for Everton. We were saying, would he start for Everton over Calvert-Lewin? I think he would. And then I struggle. And then I genuinely struggle to pick a team that he starts for. And you can't be having that with Manchester United strikers. And that's not me saying get rid of Hojlund tomorrow. That's not me saying he's never going to be good enough. But at this moment in time, I don't think he's good enough to lead the line for Manchester United. Week in, week out. He needs help. He needs an experienced striker that's going to take a bit of the pressure off his back. He needs time on the training ground with Ruben Amorim. And then I think you will see him flourish, because I do think he has attributes. But at this moment in time, I don't think he's good enough to start for Manchester United. And the fact that I can name Everton, Leicester and Southampton as probably the only other teams in the Premier League that he starts for. And let me know in the chat if I'm wrong. That's not good enough for Manchester United. The reason, I'm not just blaming Hojlund, all over the pitch we have problems, do not get me wrong. But the reason we're in 14th is because the team are playing like a team that should be in 14th. The table doesn't lie. We need better players and we need a deeper squad. I would absolutely take Victor Osimhen in a heartbeat and we desperately need a striker. And I would argue with anyone who tells us we don't. Get in Arsenal. Does he start for Arsenal? That's probably one of the other teams. I actually forgot about Arsenal. Does he start for Arsenal? Obviously, that's a team that is in the top four. I think he would play some games for Arsenal, Rasmus Hojlund, but I think Arsenal need a striker desperately as well. We've got another super chat in saying United need to buy a player for a long-term project and not short-term glory. We have been building football stars, not buying them. We have been building football stars and not buying them. Yeah, every star we buy flops, so I agree with you in that sense. Andy Cheatham says, why take Osimhen and cause more attitude problems? Time for Rashford to go, but Osimhen is not the answer. I don't think Osimhen has attitude problems. His fallout in Napoli was, I thought Napoli treated Osimhen poorly. I'm gonna be quite honest from what I remember about that story. I don't think he has attitude problems. And people talking about his wage demands before, Osimhen's not on a massive wage right now. And Manchester United wouldn't have to pay him a massive wage either. Of course, you know, you're going to have to pay him a decent wage, but we won't be breaking the bank to bring Osimhen in. I think he's on 100 grand a week at this current moment in time. Let me just double check quickly. I think last time I checked, he's on 100 grand a week. Oh, he's on 160 grand a week at Napoli. Yeah, he's on 160 grand. Oh, wait, it says here that it's... Osimhen's weekly wage stands at €125,000 a week, amounting to a yearly net salary of over €6 million. But then it says that, when I just type in Google, it says 158 grand a week, highest paid player at the club. Whatever it is, if it's 158 grand, if it's €125,000, it's still not near Manchester United's biggest wage. It's still attainable for Manchester United, let's put it that way. We have Trey Warren says, you know, when he gets to our club, he will go from world class to absolute crap. What we're supposed to do though, just never buy any players. We're supposed to just never buy any players. Like, of course, that is the running theme at Manchester United, that we buy players and then they turn rubbish or they don't fulfil the potential, but we still have to try and get the right players in. We still have to hope that we are going to change our transfer strategy and we actually are going to start getting players in that are going to perform for us and are going to work for us. I do think some players have performed as well. Like Gyokeres is a big example. How long will it take for us to kind of infest Ugarte, and you know he turns out to be rubbish, because like Mazraoui started absolutely fantastically and he's dropped a couple of stinkers the last 2 weeks, and I don't think it's that simple. I do think Mazraoui is a better centre back than he's a wing back. I think that's where he needs to play, and I'm hoping with Amorim, because Ugarte literally fits his system so perfectly and he smashed it under him at Sporting, that's one that's just going to keep going upwards and upwards and upwards at 23 years old. I think Ugarte, I was saying on our New Year show, I think he's signing in the summer in terms of the future for us and how important he is to this Manchester United side. So I do hold out some hope that we are going to get some good transfers in under Ruben Amorim, and you know, with the team that we've put in place. Sergeant Ratcliffe, best in class. Jason Wilcox, Omar Barada. Let's see what you've got. But we can't just never buy a player because we're scared that they're going to not do well, because that's what has been the running theme at Manchester United for years on end. We've got to hope that the tide is going to turn. But in terms of his wage, it's attainable for Manchester United. I mean, we have the likes of Mason Mount on 240 grand a week, who's barely able to string 5 games together in a row. Like Victor Osimhen for around 150 grand a week is fine for Manchester United. We can manage that. I think if he came into the club, we'd probably give him around 200 grand a week, which for a player of his quality makes sense, and it's still not breaking the bank. Harry Maguire's on 190. Like, you've got to understand the wage structure Manchester United have, and if we're going to bring that wage structure down, I understand we can't give out massive wages, but 200 grand a week at Manchester United for the wages that we have on the books and where we're at, I think would be fair for a player of Victor Osimhen's talent and quality. 25 years old as well, so still got his prime to come. Perfect age to bring a player in. Beth Niblet says Osimhen is going to be Rashford 10 times the issues, I bet. I don't see that, honestly, but I understand that there is some concerns in the chat. And we have Red Devil Germany saying, hi Beth, Hojlund would start for more teams and would play better because most teams in the Premier League play better. He would also start for Tottenham. I don't think he would start for Tottenham over Solanke. I don't think he would. Zirkzee says, could they even make that swap deal in January if Osimhen is on loan? Heard that teams need to pay 62 million. Would like United to try and sign Olmo. Don't think Olmo is going to happen, to be honest. I think that's just paper talk. I think it's a pipe dream. I seen Luke Littler tweeted out he'd love a loan for Olmo. Wouldn't we all? I'd love to see Olmo at Manchester United. I think he would be a massive upgrade on what we have and he'd go straight into the team. But I think Barcelona will somehow figure that out. And if not, I can't imagine City are going to pass that up that opportunity if it is there. And at this moment in time, I think Olmo would probably go to City over Manchester United. Eurovan says, we need a striker at his peak, a fullback who can provide good services, a massive overhaul on how Manchester United face corner kicks. No lies were told. We need a set-piece coach in this January transfer window, I tell you that. Score prediction for Liverpool, says Tommy. I'll do that at the end. And Tom Grant says, morning, Beth. Happy New Year to you and co. Are these reports true? I mean, I can't tell you with absolute certainty that the reports are true. The original story started in The Sun. So usually The Sun isn't the most credible, to put it politely. But I seen Sky talking about it this morning and they seem to believe that Antonio Conte does have interest in Victor Osimhen. So not in Victor Osimhen. Antonio Conte does have interest in Marcus Rashford and Manchester United do have interest in Victor Osimhen. So if you put the two and two together, it does make for a possible swap deal if you can get the finances in order. Have I done all the super chats as of now? I think I have. If I've missed any, let me know, but I think I've done all the super chats as of now. But just to add to this Osimhen-Marcus Rashford swap deal, there is another element to the story. So it was reported last night from Pete Hall in iPaper Sports that Ruben Amorim wants Victor Gyokeres, and the player is very keen to join Manchester United. Why? I don't know. Ruben Amorim must have a lot of pull. We're in 14th place. But Ruben Amorim wants Victor Gyokeres and the player is very keen to join Manchester United. Sporting are willing to allow him to leave for around £60 million in the summer. And he would likely cost around £80 million, his release clause, this month. So if Manchester United wanted to get Gyokeres, it would cost him £80 million at least this month. If we wait until the summer, it's £60 million. They've got a gentleman's agreement. Apparently, Ruben Amorim is very keen to bring him, and Victor Gyokeres wants to come. Gyokeres will want to come because of Ruben Amorim. The Premier League football, obviously, is always an attraction. 14th place isn't an attraction. Every player we bring in, their career going on a downward spiral isn't an attraction. But Victor Gyokeres obviously has belief in Ruben Amorim. They've got a connection. Sometimes a coach and a player, they just work together and they bring out the best in each other. And I think that's the relationship that it's not Victor Osimhen. That so many V's and strikers. Gyokeres and Ruben Amorim have that relationship. Amorim has said publicly that he will not go for Gyokeres in January. So I would put a pin in it for January because I honestly would say 99% that there is no way that Manchester United get Gyokeres in January. First of all, we have no money. Second of all, I keep getting the names mixed up. You can tell I've not had my morning coffee. Second of all, Ruben Amorim has said publicly he will not go for Gyokeres in January. So it's very unlikely that we pay 80 million to get Gyokeres in January. So I would put a pin in that. However, in the summer, for 60 million, if Manchester United haven't got a striker already, we will be all over that. However, we won't be the only ones all over it. Arsenal have had interest in Gyokeres for a couple of transfer windows now. They're obviously in a much better position than us. They have that striker spot wide open for Victor Gyokeres to come and start in, and they're obviously doing very well in the Premier League, and they're in the Champions League. They're established. They are at the point in their project where they're playing well week in, week out. They just probably need the final few cherries on the cake to get to win them trophies and get it over the line in terms of titles. So that's a more attractive prospect than Manchester United. There'll be other clubs around Europe looking at Victor Osimhen. What is wrong with me? There'll be other clubs around Europe looking at Gyokeres. It's not set in stone that he'll come to Manchester United just because Ruben Amorim's there. However, that gives us a chance. What would you rather do? Would you rather wait until the summer in hopes that we get Gyokeres from Sporting? But there is going to be other clubs in the discussion. There is going to be other clubs coming to the table. And it's not just going to be as cut and dry as we get to the summer, Manchester United sign Gyokeres and he's holding up the shirt straight away. He's going to negotiate with many different clubs, and there's going to be many clubs looking to get him. It might not be a walk in the park. It won't be a walk in the park. There's a good chance we don't end up getting him. People think we will just because of Amorim. There's a good chance we won't. But I would like to think it gives us a chance having Amorim. So would you rather wait for Gyokeres, or would you rather go in January, try and get Victor Osimhen, because I think there is a chance we get Victor Osimhen in January, and he be our striker? What would you rather do? Let me know your thoughts. For me, it's quite simple. If Amorim is absolutely convinced that Gyokeres is the striker and he only wants Gyokeres as his striker, then you wait until the summer, because Amorim obviously has a relationship with Gyokeres and he'd probably be able to convince him to join. And if he's going to be the one that makes his project and is going to be his guy, then we wait till the summer. If Ruben Amorim likes the idea of Victor Osimhen and he's not hell-bent on just one player and he just wants an experienced striker in, and he likes the look of Osimhen and he feels like he can get the best out of Osimhen, and he just wants a striker of quality, obviously, then I think we've got to do everything we can to try and get that Victor Osimhen deal done in January. I understand the league's pretty much written off, so does it make too much of a difference of who you get in January, or whether you wait till the summer? People would argue no. What's the difference between 14th and 9th or 14th and 8th? Whether you're not in a European spot, what's the difference? And are we really going to get into them European spots? People will think that. I don't think you can write the season off in January. I think we have to do everything we can to try and do as best as we can in the league and get a European spot. If we start to turn things around, we could still get a European spot. The Champions League is absolutely no chance on this earth, but we could still get a Europa League spot if we turn things around. I think we've got to do everything we can to try and get Ruben Amorim signings in January. Only quality signings. I don't want to buy rubbish. I don't want to buy someone and it's like, they're good for now, but in the summer we're thinking, oh, we probably should have just not bought him. I don't want to buy just any old thing that comes by. I want to buy a player if they're good enough and they're going to start for us, and they are and they're going to be starting for us this time next year. That's how I want to go about January. The only way I would spend money and get players in, which I feel like we have to do, is if this time next year I envision them to be starting for Manchester United still. I don't want to just buy a stopgap. But like I said, if Osimhen's available in January and he's not hell-bent on Gyokeres, I would get Osimhen. But if Ruben Amorim only wants Gyokeres and he feels like he is the one, I wait for Gyokeres. I think they're both quality strikers. I think they both would improve Manchester United massively, and I actually think they'd both work at Manchester United in the Ruben Amorim system. So get in the comments your thoughts. What would you rather do? People would probably think Gyokeres is the safer bet because there's evidence and there's proof that he's worked for Ruben Amorim before. Ruben Amorim knows his character. He knows his attitude. He knows his behaviours. That's huge. That is absolutely huge, especially when, we see the squad that we've currently got in Manchester United, where I think we can all agree we've not got the best characters. There is some good characters, but overall as a squad, we need to be improving the mentality, the behaviour, the discipline of our players and the personalities of our players behind the scenes and what they're doing off the pitch. Even on the pitch, we need to get better personalities in and stronger mindsets into this club. So Ruben Amorim knows Gyokeres' mindset. He knows his personality. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. Of course it is. But also at the same time, Erik ten Hag in the past, bought players that he'd worked with and that's not worked out. So it's not always 100% guaranteed to work out, is what I'm trying to say. Who would you go for? Long-winded explanation, but let me know. We have Zach saying both are good strikers, but I don't think they will perform well in the Prem. I don't think they will work. Well, who would you go for then? I mean, my absolute dream, who I would go for over anybody would be Isak from Newcastle. But I'm not silly. I'm not stupid. I know there's not a cat in hell's chance we'd get Isak at Manchester United, so I've got to be a bit more realistic. Rob Always United says, hi Beth, I think Osimhen now and Gyokeres in the summer would be great for Amarim's system. You're not going to get both, you're only going to get one, so you've got to pick. Sanil Dewan says, are you expecting anything positive on Sunday? I'll get into the Liverpool stuff towards the end of the show. Amarim In says, Gyokeres is nothing on McTominay. That made it into our 2024 best bits. Good old Barry, Scottish striker, if you know, you know. Dan, a member for 13 months, says, hi Beth, how much of a risk do you think Gyokeres is given he's only played in Portugal and the Championship in recent years? Of course, it's a risk. Friends that I know that watch the Championship week in, week out, say he's an absolute beast and say that we should have signed him when he was at Coventry. They say that they think he'd be fantastic at Manchester United. But the Championship to the Prem is obviously a huge step up, and the Portuguese League to the Premier League is also a huge step up. The one thing I would say is, notoriously, players that are signed from the Portuguese League tend to do well in the Premier League. I could list loads. Not just Portuguese players, just players that have been signed from the Portuguese League into the Premier League do tend to perform. So that gives you a little bit of hope in that sense. Red Devil Germany says, hi Beth, Hojlund would start for more teams and would play better. Oh, I've done that one. And Emmanuel Dogu says, any possibility of selling Anthony and Shaw? Well, depends how much money you want to lose on them. Luke Shaw has to go. I mean, that TikTok yesterday, don't even get me started. I know Mark's already spoken about it. It's just so out of touch, it's ridiculous. Read the room. We're in 14th place. And you're saying your mum's on benefits on a TikTok that's going out publicly. Like, what is going on? Like, we're having mass cuts. You know, working class people losing their jobs all across Manchester United while you're collecting 200 grand a week to do nothing. And you're doing a TikTok smiling and happy and your mum's on benefits. Right, I get it. It's a joke. It's tongue in cheek. Like, people can have fun on New Year's. I'm not saying that. But professional pride, please. I'm not going to go into detail. But it was just, to me, that, and I know people are going to say I'm extreme, but that TikTok was, I mean, I already knew he needed to go, but it just shows me you've not got the personality to be a Manchester United player. As good as he is at football, fantastic at football, best left back in the league when he's playing at his best, and he's playing. I'll never discredit that, but as just the whole package, the injuries, and then, you know, whether you've got a question, you know, whether you understand the magnitude of playing for Manchester United, he's got to go. And then in terms of Anthony, yeah, he's got to leave eventually. But so many players have got to leave eventually. At this moment in time, would I sell Anthony in January? No. I think he's got to go in the summer. Would I sell him in January? No, because I don't think there's any point. Unless someone's coming in and offering a big amount of money, then I would consider it. Of course I would. But if we're talking about loan deals, no. Look at our wing-back situation. We've got Dalot and Mazraoui, who both aren't really suited to wing-backs in Ruben Amorim's system. Mazraoui's better as a centre-back and Dalot's just not performing anywhere near the level we need him to. Malacia, not good enough. I think we need cover at wing-back. We really do need cover at wing-back, which is why I'd keep Anthony around. Last 20 minutes of the game, he's come on and he's done all right, to be fair to him, in recent times. So, as much as, of course, in the long run he needs to go, I don't think he's good enough in the long run. Right now, and this is where we're at as a club, I would keep him instead of letting him go in January, just as cover at wing-back. Let's get a poll running. Osimhen or Gyokeres? Actually, let's get a poll running. Osimhen in January or Gyokeres in the summer? I want to know what you people say on that, because it's tough. It's really tough. To me, if you said to me now, in January, you can either get Gyokeres or Osimhen, I'd lean towards Gyokeres, because I just think it's a safer bet, because Amorim knows his personality. And I think he's a brilliant striker. But it would only just be that. I genuinely rate Osimhen very highly. He makes his own chances. Like I've said, he's got pace, he's got power. So his goal catalogue is fantastic. He's a poacher. Like, I do rate Osimhen, but I think they're both massive upgrades on what we have, and I think they both improve us. I think they're both quality strikers. But if I could have them both, if I could have the pick of either of them in Jan, I'd probably just lean towards Gyokeres. But it's to the point where if I have to wait until summer for Gyokeres, but I know I can get Osimhen in Jan, I'd pick Osimhen in Jan, because I think we need someone sooner rather than later, and I do think he would be successful at Manchester United eventually. But yeah, that's the striker situation. Get your votes down in the poll. Next bit of the show is just a little bit to bring in. It's not the best source, it's from the Daily Star, but I thought I'd bring it into the show because we do need a midfielder, and it is that Manchester United could go for Angel Gomes on a free transfer in the summer. 24 years old, spent 14 years at United, joined the club when he was 6, made his senior debut under Jose Mourinho at just 16 years of age, but then chose to leave the club because he wasn't getting enough game time. His contract with Lille expires at the end of the season. He's done fantastically for Lille. We all saw how he played for England when he got that call up. He was very, very good. The head coach, Ruben Amorim, is reportedly an admirer of the midfielder and previously contemplated moving with him during his tenure at Sporting Lisbon. The 24-year-old is on the radar of several English clubs, including Arsenal, Tottenham and Newcastle. Big European teams are also monitoring Gomes, including Napoli and Atletico Madrid. Would you go for Angel Gomes in the summer? I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think this story has much truth in it. I don't think Manchester United will move for Angel Gomes. I think it's just an easy headline to make. He was at Manchester United, he's available on a free transfer, we're broke, we're going to need to go for cheaper deals. It's easy to put 2 and 2 together and come up with that story. However, I don't think Angel Gomes will be a player that Manchester United go for in the summer. And I actually don't think we should go for him. And there's times in football where you can think that a player is a good player, but you also don't think he suits your team. And that's how I feel about Angel Gomes. I think Angel Gomes is a good player. I was very happy when he got called up for England. I think he played well, and I think he will suit another team very, very well. And I hope, for his sake, because he seems like a good guy, he speaks well. And I actually really respect him for what he did, went to go and get game time, took that risk, and has obviously gone on and done really well in his career so far. 24 years old, I hope he goes on and has a really good career, I really do. But I wouldn't go for him. The reasons why is because I just don't think he's the player we need. I think we need height, and, you know, that's rich coming from someone who's 5'2". But I think we need height in the midfield, and he doesn't bring that. I don't think he's the best partner for Ugarte in there. I just don't think he's the right fit for Manchester United. But I do think he's a good player. So I don't think Manchester United will go for him. And as for Ruben Amorim admiring at Sporting Lisbon, he might have done in the squad that they've got. But at Manchester United, when he speaks about having a small team, which he's done multiple times, when he speaks about needing more threat offset pieces, I don't think he will be lining up at the door of Angel Gomes in the summer. I might be wrong. Technically, he's fantastic on the ball. I get that. But we've already got Kobbie Mainoo. I don't think we need Angel Gomes. I really don't. And I don't think Manchester United will go for him. So I just kind of wanted to put a pin in that story. I think if we go for a midfielder, I mean, get in the comments what midfielder you would go for. I think we are going to go for a midfielder. But I would like to go for another holding midfielder type with height. I would basically like to go for a Casemiro replacement. That's where I would see us moving. There is talk that we're looking at Ederson from Atalanta. Obviously not a match in profile for Casemiro, a bit more of a box-to-box, but is, you know, that type of midfielder that definitely has defensive capabilities, has an engine, is physical, suits the physical demands that we need. He's one that's been on our radar for a while. I've not completely done my midfielder shortlist yet, but Angel Gomes wouldn't be the profile that I would be targeting. Let me see what you guys are saying on the poll. Osimhen in January or Gyokeres in the summer? Wow. Okay, I thought there would be more votes for Gyokeres in the summer. A lot of you guys are understanding the severity of our situation here and needing to get players in. Osimhen in January has 64%. Gyokeres in the summer has 36%. So keep voting on that. I'll leave it up. Got 2,000 votes on that at this moment in time. So I'll keep that up and see what the end result of that is. Sorry, just reading some of your comments here. We need wing backs. A couple people saying that we need to prioritise a goalkeeper over a striker. I don't agree. I do think if Onana carries on this way, we need to look in the goalkeeper market, but it wouldn't be my first priority. I think, like I've said it on multiple shows, I don't need to repeat myself. Wing back, striker, number 10. They're my top three. We massively need a wing-back, left wing-back. We need both. We need a right wing-back and a left wing-back, but I think left wing-back's obviously top priority. We massively need a striker, and we massively need a left 10, in my opinion. I don't think our 10s are good enough on the ball. I think Ahmad, obviously, is looking good there, but I think he's brilliant in wing-back as well. Bruno, on the left side, I prefer Bruno a bit deeper in the pivot, I'm going to be honest. So I think we need a 10, and that's why it would go into my top three. Just been sent a WhatsApp. Okay, so a little bit of news coming while we're live on the show. Juventus have been in contact with Joshua Zirkzee's agent in the last few days and are awaiting a final decision from Manchester United. And that's coming from Alfredo Padula. I have been burnt from Alfredo Padula when he told me we were definitely getting Frenkie de Jong. I'm pretty sure that was the journalist that year that kept saying that we were getting de Jong was going to happen, and it never did. I know it was close, but he has put out there that Juventus have been in contact with Joshua Zirkzee's agent in the last few days and are awaiting a final decision from Manchester United. On that, I wouldn't like to write Zirkzee off to the point of a sale, but if Juventus are offering us the money that we paid for Joshua Zirkzee, I am taking it. I'm taking it. Do you know when sometimes you just feel like you've seen enough? Joshua Zirkzee, let me think about how I'm going to word this. Okay, Joshua Zirkzee, I think he has ability. I think he's a unique profile, and I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's a good player. However, I don't think he's suited to the Premier League, and I don't think he's suited to a Ruben Amorim system. Let's be absolutely 100% honest. He's never going to be a striker in a Ruben Amorim system, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't suit that 10 role. He's not mobile enough in a Ruben Amorim system without runners running off him. Maybe, to be fair, maybe with decent wing backs he'd do a lot better. You know, when he has runners, when he can hold up the ball, turn, and he has them runners to pass out to on the wings. As we always thought in, you know, a 4-3-3 with Erik ten Hag, he'd be good in terms of holding the ball up and then having them runners in behind as the wingers like Garnacho and Rashford, who obviously can't even get into the team now. We're not playing a 4-3-3. But I do think there is a player there in Joshua Zirkzee, and I disagree massively with the booing and the jeering him off. I was in Old Trafford, and I'm going to be honest, it was loud. The boos were loud, not only when he went off the pitch, but when he went down the tunnel as well. I felt for the guy. The whole team should have been booed off, to be honest with you, not just one individual. And I don't think you can scapegoat him for the problems at Manchester United. We've had problems for a while, and also you've got to bring into the conversation, Hojlund hasn't performed to the highest level as well. So, you know, if you're going to criticise Joshua Zirkzee, who's been here for less time, you've got to criticise Hojlund. Do I think Hojlund has more of a chance of a future at United? Yes. Do I think like he has a higher potential in that system? Yes. But they've both underperformed. They both have. So Joshua Zirkzee, I think some of the criticism he gets is too much, and I think people using him for a scapegoat when he shouldn't be. However, I've seen what I've seen at Manchester United, And I don't see a future for him in this Ruben Amorim system. I think he suits Serie A. You know, he was in Team of the Year for Serie A, if I'm not mistaken. I think he got Young Player of the Year, did he, in Serie A? Like, there's a player there. There is a player there in Joshua Zirkzee. I'm not going to be told otherwise. He's a unique profile, and I think he would thrive in a setup that suits him. Juventus, you know, reunited with his old manager, Motta, knows how to get the best out of him. The player would do well. Manchester United would get him off the books and could get the money back for him. If they're in for him in January for a sale, and I'm saying the money that we paid, do it. Do it. We need to stop being in this world of let's wait, and it's basically just waiting and hoping. If the sale's there, do it. If it's not, and if it's a loan, I would keep him because we don't have enough attacking threats as it is. So if it's just a loan, I would keep him around because, you know, it's worth having him there as an option. Our squad depth is already quite thin and we don't have many attacking outlets. So I would keep him if it's a loan. If it's a sale, I would sell him and then reinvest that money. But we need to stop living in a world of, I wish Rashford could get back to his best. Maybe next year he'll get back to his best. Do you know what? Martinez was really good in his first year. Can he do that again? Do you know, Bruno used to be like this, but he's not been like that for a while. You know, Dalot was fantastic for last season, but is he going to be like that again? Zirkzee was great at Bologna, great in Serie A. Maybe if you just give him time. Of course, sometimes patience is needed. Of course, sometimes you've got to read between the lines. But I think a lot of times at Manchester United, we hold on to the ideas of things and instead of just understanding the reality. And the reality is, Joshua Zirkzee hasn't displayed enough for me to think you're going to be a success at Manchester United. So if the money is there in January, I think it makes sense to do that deal. Only if there is money involved, though. Got some more super chats in. We have Zorkan saying, if we were to get rid of some players in January, who would you say is most likely to go? It's tough, really, because, you know, you have Romano putting out there that Lindelof's available, Eriksen's available if there's offers, if Casemiro's available if there's offers, Anthony's available if there's offers. No one's coming in and offering money for any of them players. The most you're going to get is a loan, but half of them go on a free. Eriksen and Lindelof are going to go on a free, so doubt they're going to go. Who's coming and getting Casemiro if it's not Saudi? And it's always the rumours of Saudi, but it never actually happens. So doubt he's going to go. And Anthony, like I said, no one's going to come and pay a fee. If it's a loan, you might as well keep him for wing-back cover. So it's hard to understand who is going to go in January. I think we've got to focus on getting loans out for our players. There was rumours that Harry Armas to Leicester under Rude might happen. That would be fantastic. I'd love to see him get game time in the Premier League. I think it'd be really good for his development. I think he's actually a player that's deserved more game time than what he's got. Honestly, and this might be why I'm not a manager and why I'm not, you know, a coach in football. I don't understand how in this Ruben Amorim system, Harry Armas hasn't even made the bench. Hasn't even made the bench. I think as a left wing back, honestly, he could do a job. I genuinely think he could do a job with the potential he's got. I don't get it. I think we should be at least putting him on the bench and giving him some sort of opportunity. I mean, he can't do much worse than what we've currently got. Could he do worse than what we've currently got, realistically? I think he deserved a chance, to be honest with you. But we've got to focus on getting him a loan. And Rashford, moneymaker to invest. You could get some money for him. That's the big one that is like, if he goes in Jan, which I'm not sure he will, that's how you're getting money in to reinvest into the club. It's the only one that's going to make you any money, really, if Rashford goes in January. The Boat says, hear me out. Goalkeeper Lunin from Real Madrid. Thoughts? Like I said, I'm not really looking at goalkeepers right now. I think that's a conversation for, you know, maybe this time next year if we're still having the same issues that we've had with Andre and Arna. Thasbio Mafana says, Osimhen doesn't have an attitude issue. Napoli treated him horribly along with the coach after leading them to their first title in decades. Yeah, that's what I was saying at the start of the show. I think it was more on Napoli's side where the treatment was poor, in my opinion. Emmanuel says, any possibility? I've done that one. And Byrian Code says, we need a bargain sale. The only thing I'd say about the Rashford the Rashford going in January thing, like I just touched on, I think it's becoming more and more less likely because a couple of weeks ago, Rashford saying publicly that he wants a new challenge. Recent times, there's been a story dismissing rumours that he's meeting with an agency for a move, even though behind the scenes, that is what is being said. Like, it's being said that they are trying to meet with agencies for a move. So Rashford himself dismissed that, but there's been a lot of people that have said that they've heard, like, categorically they are looking for a move. So that didn't make sense. And you know, the reports coming out that he's rejecting Saudi, that he's, you know, willing to, you know, work hard and fight for his Manchester United place. Do you know what? Of course, like, that's the right attitude to have. But it just, to me, it all kind of gives, I wanted to move, we've kind of put feelers out and no one's coming in to get me. So actually, I might have to try and make it work for United for at least until the summer. That's what it was giving. I hope I'm wrong, because I do think the money for Rashford would be good, and I do think it is the right time for him to go. And I think him lingering on until the summer wouldn't be good for anyone. Amram's going to get asked about it every week. We don't need that. It's not good for the player either. Like, you know, cutting ties would be best for both parties right now, but that's what it gave me with the whole Rashford stuff recently. We did want to leave, but we've realised there's not actually that many clubs interested in me at this moment in time. So let's see how that story develops. Paul O'Brien says, if there is any sign we could get Osimhen in January, we need to move quickly and grab it with both hands. What a player he is. I agree with you as well. I think he is a top player and I would want to get him in 100%. Last but not least, to finish up the show, thank you everyone for getting involved. What is the poll on Gyokeres and Osimhen now? I'd love to know. But last but not least, 64% of you would go for Osimhen in January, so it has stayed like that. Interesting. I agree. I said that myself. I would agree. I think Osimhen would be fantastic. But last but not least, a few super chats asked me about the Liverpool game and my thoughts on that, because this is the last time you're going to hear from me until countdown to kick-off on Sunday before Anfield. I'm absolutely dreading it. My thoughts are... My thoughts are it's going to be an absolute hiding, I'm going to be honest. I think we're going to get smashed. That's my thoughts. And the reason being is, I know a couple of people in the chat were a bit more positive, saying when we thought we're going to get smashed, we haven't. We got the 0-0 at Anfield last season. Couple of things. Liverpool are a different beast right now. They are flying, and Mo Salah is literally on a Ballon d'Or winning season. They're unstoppable. And second of all, I don't think Ruben Amorim's going to shut up shop and change his system to the point where it's like, you know, we are 11 men behind the ball, not even having a sniff of goal. I do think he will go a bit more defensive, like he did when we played Arsenal away and like we did when we played City away. You know, we had shape to us and it was basically a back five. However, I don't think he's just going to completely change everything like Erik ten Hag did for that Anfield game, because he was so burnt from the 7-0. I think we will still go out there and try and play our system and try and play our way, because I think Ruben Amorim will stick to his principles and that's what he'll do. I think Mo Salah down that left-hand side against, if Martinez plays, against Martinez and Dalot could be catastrophic. I think it could be catastrophic, I'm going to be honest. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the players have the performance of their lives and we don't get smashed up. But that is just my gut feeling. And you know me, guys. I'm always trying to be positive. The first time I ever predicted a loss in our score predictions in the group chat and on the countdown to kick-off was last week this week actually, against Newcastle. And lo and behold, I was right. And I would always try and come on here and say, maybe we can get something, maybe we can do this. And I tell you what, anything's always possible. It's 2025, it's a new year. These players might have had a kick up the arse and they might actually go out there and prove us wrong. But based off recent evidence, I have to say, I don't think it's going to be a nice afternoon for us at Anfield on Sunday. I've just been sent a last little bit of news to bring in on WhatsApp. Greg coming in clutch with the news. So Ben Jacobs has just put a tweet out. Okay, Ben. We've had Ben on the show before. Do you know what that reminds me? I'm going to message Ben after the show and try and get him on for an interview because he's always lovely to chat to. He's got some really good knowledge, especially, around transfers. He said, Ben Jacobs, there is some substance to Napoli's interest in Marcus Rashford. Manchester United are still waiting for concrete approaches. Also unclear yet whether Manchester United might make a wage contribution if a loan is sanctioned. A key factor in how many clubs engage. Rashford's already said no to Saudi. What I was going to say there is Ben's very much in the know in terms of Saudi and in that area of football. He's got fantastic connections, but he's also got good connections over in the European leagues as well. So he's saying there is some substance in Napoli's interest in Marcus Rashford. That is positive because, when a story comes out from The Sun, you don't know whether to really have any belief in it. But when Ben's coming out and saying there is some substance, and that's not saying they're going to buy him tomorrow, that is promising. Again, we know about the wage. The wage is going to put off a lot of potential suitors. If he went on loan, it would have to be a loan obligation to buy at the end of the season, surely. And then I would assume United would cover some of his wages, especially if Ruben Amorim isn't planning on keeping him. However, if it is an actual sale and there's money on the table, for example, if Manchester United expected 40 million for Rashford, I assume they'd probably take around 30 just to cover the wage of Marcus Rashford and subside that. That's what United would have to do, and they'll be very much aware that that's what they'll have to do. No team's coming and buying him and taking the wage as well. We would have to take either a cut on the wage with a loan obligation to buy in terms of we would have to pay some of it, and if it was, or we'd not have a loan fee, something along them lines, or if it was a sale, we'd have to subside the wage by bringing down the transfer fee for Marcus Rashford. But I think Manchester United are well aware of that, and we're all pretty aware of that as well. Suzuka says midfielders would like Xavi Simons or Biner and Ederson wingbacks. Or Ederson wingbacks. Davies, Frimpong, and Conte makes sense. Would like Euro to start versus Liverpool. Sorry if I butchered some of them names. When I'm reading the super chat out, you're just kind of reading it as it goes along. You don't have time to fully go through it. But in terms of the midfield, Xavi Simons is someone that always gets brought up. I think he's a risk. I think we need someone proven for now. Xavi Simons, I think he's got talent, but I do think it's a risk. I think we need someone proven. Man United can't afford to take any more risks. In terms of Ederson's been linked towards multiple times as a midfielder. In terms of wing-backs, Davies seems like we're out of the race for that one. Frimpong and Conte from Sporting would be ideal, wouldn't they, for that right wing-back slot? I would absolutely be all over that. Would like Euro to start versus Liverpool. Honestly, against Liverpool, my back three would be Mazraoui, Maguire and De Ligt, I think. Or Mazraoui, De Ligt and Euro. I would drop Martinez because I think he's been super poor recently. I mean, everyone's been poor, but I think Mazraoui can play as a right or left-sided centre-back, and he plays there very well, so I would start him. I think De Ligt has to start. He's been our best centre-back, and I think Maguire I'd probably start him for the experience, but in terms of the pace that Euro can offer against that front three, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? It'd be one to definitely consider. Let's see what Ruben Amorim says in his press conference. And Rob Always United says, Beth, I think Osimhen would be a great role model for Rasmus. Thank you, everyone, for your super chats. That's all of them coming out. So many super chats today. Over 8,000 of you in the room with us. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Hit a like on the video if you haven't already. Happy Friday, guys. How is your new year going so far? Make sure, you grab the day, you smash the day as much as you can, and stay tuned for Goldbridge. He's back for the Ruben Amorim press conference before Liverpool. Very excited to see what Ruben Amorim has to say. He's a manager that I get excited to hear his press conferences. Hopefully there's some good questions in there for him to answer, because it feels like it's been a while since we've heard from him, even though it was only Monday. I'm excited to hear Ruben Amorim's thoughts, especially now the January transfer window is officially open. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you on Sunday for Liverpool at Anfield. let's see what that brings us. But thank you for watching, everyone. Get your comments in. I'll be reading through them all, and I'll see you on the next one.